Welcome to the African Renaissance Time channel. I'm Brother 𝗲𝗲𝗃𝗂𝗏. Today I want to talk about the awesome power of a negative self-awareness. The awesome power of a negative self-awareness. Negative self-awareness is what Black culture is designed to produce. Let me say that again. Negative self-awareness is what Black culture is actually designed to produce. It's designed to produce a mind that is in conflict with itself. Self-hatred and the messages of self-hatred are reinforced everywhere in Black American society. The way we talk about ourselves, the way we think about ourselves, our failure to plan for our long-term existence, the way we handle our relationships, the way we relate to our children, all of these are reflections of our negative self-awareness. The truth is, you can't go any further than the awareness that you have. People are rich because they have a positive self-awareness. People are also poor because they have a negative self-awareness. So if we know that negative self-awareness leads to poverty and suffering, leads to a low opinion of what the human being actually is, leads to a lack of self-control and a lack of self-respect, we should be doing everything we can to make sure we have a much more positive awareness of who we are as people. That positive awareness begins with having an appreciation for what God created in you as a Black person. If you believe that God is good and that God is no respecter of persons, then it should be common sense that God, when he created the Black man, created something great. When he created the Black woman, he created something great, beautiful, wonderful, and awesome for whatever his purpose is. And the truth is, if we thought and were more grateful for what God created in us, we would treat each other better. Again, we would treat each other better if we placed the kind of natural value that we should have for ourselves. But something happened to the African mind. Something happened to the African mind during the slave trade. Something happened to the African mind during the years of colonialism. And what really happened was we lost our connection with common sense. In fact, we left slavery better suited to be able to function than we actually are today. Because slavery was not a choice, contrary to comments other people have made. Slavery was imposed on us as a people. We were an enslaved people. And so the mindset that was given to the slave was actually forced on him. But coming out of slavery, we were looking for every kind of way to regain our sense of human dignity. And we did some great things coming out of slavery. But following the Civil Rights Movement, we seem to have been falling back voluntarily into a mind that is against itself. When people control the rewards and punishments in your society, they basically control you. When Black people think of themselves, they think of themselves as victims. They think of themselves as powerless. These things didn't happen by accident. They also think of themselves as criminals, and they think of themselves as living by the mercy of other people. This is a tragedy. There's enough of us, and we are certainly strong enough and have enough ability to do some things if we would learn to collect the resources that we do have. There's a lot that can happen positively for Black America, but we need a new awareness of self. And that new awareness of self has to be rooted in our historical struggle. It has to be rooted in the facts about who we are historically. We are an African people whose culture today was completely, for the most part, imposed on them as a result of enslavement and indoctrination into a sense of reliance and powerlessness. That sense of reliance on white folks and other people as better suited or more superior or better or giving us a view that those people are better to make decisions for us is devastating to us. It was the great Frederick Douglass who said that what the Black man needed the most following slavery was to just be left alone. And people said, well, how can Black people survive if they're left alone? He said, if they don't survive, that's on them. But your doings and your involvement in their life has totally messed them up. And that could be said about today's Blacks. The meddling in Black culture, the turning backwards of Black culture. You could honestly say in the 60s and 70s, in the 80s, we might have produced some of the most beautiful music in the world. Music where we sung about ain't no woman like the one I got, give your woman a standing ovation, you're the best thing that ever happened to me. Music that was not rooted in sensuality, but in a real appreciation of the human being. And we had better relationships. But today, our music is just shock culture and filth for the most part. There are some good artists, but they are so few and far between. Overall, the message in music today is that everything is about physical. Everything is about animal passion. Nothing is about the sustaining of relationships for the good of the people. We've moved from a we people to a me people. And that has devastating consequences because we can least afford to be a people only concerned about self. So again, we have to stop and we have to think about it. Where are we going as a people? Because if we do not get rid of this negative culture, which produces this negative self-awareness, we're finished. Negative self-awareness, nobody can survive negative self-awareness. Nobody can survive a negative idea of themselves. No people can survive an evil opinion of God. Let me say that again. No people can survive if they have an evil opinion of God. If you think the black man was created to be a servant of white men, of Arab men, of Chinese men, you're a fool. God would never do that because God is just. We are in this situation because we let somebody impose ideas on us designed to keep us in a subservient position. And all we have to do is open up our minds, open up our hearts, and connect to real, honest spirituality, and we'll see that God is for the black man, as he is for every man. But we have to be for God. We have to return to righteousness as a people. And that righteousness is best manifested in the way we treat each other. We need to recover compassion for one another. We need to learn how to respect black women. We need to learn how to respect black men. And most of all, we have to stop betraying our children. Having our children with these loose commitments to their care and their development. Part of being a black man is to be a protector of the black woman, the black child, black culture, and your fellow black man. The black woman is here to be a supporter and a nurturer and to help that black man build African civilization for his survival. Nobody's going to build that house for us. Nobody's going to build that nation for us. We must build that. We must come together as a people and have the respect that we used to have for each other, the love that we used to have for each other before they flooded our communities with dope and before we made all kinds of agreements with criminality. That's not our nature. That's the form you find us in, but that's not our nature as a people. We are naturally gregarious, loving, supportive, kind people. You know this is true because we didn't kill every white person we saw after slavery. Black people are loving people. But we have to learn how to love ourselves again and have to view God's creation of the black man as beautiful as it is. Okay, we have to return to an African aesthetic. We have to learn to see ourselves in heroic ways, in beautiful ways. We have to learn to be resourceful. We have to look at our brothers. Black men have to look at their brothers as partners in business, their sisters as partners in business. Sisters have to learn to support each other and respect each other. Let's get rid of this competitiveness between us and learn to be creative and intelligent in the way we start to solve the problems of the black community. If we start thinking about each other more, we'll have less problems as individuals. If we start respecting each other more, we'd have less problems as individuals. If we start sharing more with one another, we'd feel less dependent on other people who are not black. The bottom line is you may dream of a colorblind world where everybody respects everybody as individuals, but that's not how the world functions. Chinese people are looking for the salvation, the survival, and progress of Chinese people. Arab people are the same way. Indian people are the same way. This is the way God created us as nations, to respect each other and to work together where we can, but to primarily be concerned about who we are and taking care of ourselves. They say charity begins at home and then spreads abroad. When are we going to start to make sure that charity that we show the world is most focused on our people who need it the most? We have so many young people with problems. We can't even get along in our relationships because we're looking at each other with the wrong eyes. We're looking at each other not as African people. We're looking at each other as carbon copies or a product of white civilization, and that's not going to work because central to a lot of thought in white civilization is the inferiority of black people. That's going to cause major problems when black men and women try to get together when they don't think very much of each other. But regardless of our condition, you can look at that black man or black woman as a hero when they are engaged in the fight to improve conditions for all of us as black people. Once again, this is your brother, 𝗖𝗲 Blackman. And let's try to remember that we have to transform our culture and go from this negative self-awareness into a more positive self-awareness. And that's why we have to get rid of this manufactured culture, and let's have a rebirth in consciousness about who we really are. That rebirth I'm calling African Renaissance time. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe.